I am willing to step down if it means securing peace for our nation or paving the way for Ukraine's long-sought NATO membership. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has made a bold declaration. This unprecedented move has sent shockwaves through the international community, raising questions about the future of Ukraine and the delicate balance of power in Eastern Europe. Zelensky's proposition comes at a critical juncture with tensions escalating between Ukraine and Russia, and the prospect of NATO expansion remaining a contentious issue. His offer is not simply a bargaining chip, it reflects the dire situation facing Ukraine. The ongoing conflict in the eastern Donbas region, fueled by Russian-backed separatists, has claimed thousands of lives and displaced millions more. Ukraine finds itself caught in a geopolitical tug-of-war, with Russia determined to maintain its sphere of influence, and the West seeking to counter Moscow's ambitions. The Ukrainian people are weary of war and yearn for peace and stability. Zelensky's statement acknowledges this deep-seated desire while also demonstrating his unwavering commitment to securing Ukraine's future within the Western fold. His willingness to sacrifice his own position for the greater good underscores the gravity of the situation. This bold move has injected a new element of uncertainty into an already volatile situation. It remains to be seen how Russia, NATO, and the international community will respond to Zelensky's proposition. However, one thing is clear, the stakes are incredibly high, not only for Ukraine but for the future of European security. Ukraine's desire to join NATO is not a recent development. It is deeply rooted in the country's history and its complex relationship with Russia. Since gaining independence from the Soviet Union in 1991, Ukraine has sought to distance itself from Moscow's orbit and align itself with the West, viewing NATO membership as the ultimate guarantee of its security and sovereignty. The collapse of the Soviet Empire left Ukraine geographically and strategically vulnerable, sandwiched between Russia and the West. The presence of a large Russian-speaking population in eastern Ukraine further complicated matters, providing Moscow with a pretext for meddling in Ukraine's internal affairs. In 2008, NATO declared that Ukraine and Georgia would eventually become members of the alliance. However, no concrete steps were taken towards membership, and Russia's invasion of Georgia later that year sent a chilling message to Ukraine about the potential consequences of pursuing closer ties with the West. Despite Russian opposition, Ukraine continued to express its desire to join NATO, enshrining this aspiration in its constitution in 2019. The annexation of Crimea by Russia in 2014, and the ongoing conflict in the Donbas region only strengthened Ukraine's resolve to seek security guarantees from the West. While Ukraine aspires to join NATO, the path to membership is fraught with obstacles. NATO operates on the principle of collective defense, meaning an attack on one member is considered an attack on all. Admitting Ukraine into the alliance while the country is embroiled in a conflict with Russia would automatically trigger NATO's collective defense clause, potentially leading to a wider European war. Furthermore, NATO membership requires consensus among all existing members. While many NATO countries sympathize with Ukraine's plight and support its right to choose its own alliances, some are hesitant to provoke Russia by admitting Ukraine into the alliance. They argue that such a move would be unnecessarily provocative and could escalate tensions further. Another challenge is the issue of corruption and lack of democratic reforms within Ukraine. NATO has traditionally required aspiring members to meet certain standards of democracy, good governance, and the rule of law. While Ukraine has made some progress in these areas, much work remains to be done. The question of Ukraine's NATO membership is a complex one with no easy answers. It is a balancing act between supporting Ukraine's right to self-determination and avoiding actions that could lead to a wider conflict with Russia. Zelensky's declaration has elicited a wide range of reactions from the international community. World leaders, diplomats, and analysts are grappling with the implications of his statement, carefully weighing their words and actions in this delicate situation. The responses have been varied, reflecting the complex geopolitical landscape and the differing interests at play. Some have expressed admiration for Zelensky's courage and his willingness to prioritize his country's future over his own political ambitions. Others have urged caution, warning that his resignation could create a power vacuum in Ukraine and embolden Russia further.
We stand with Ukraine in its pursuit of peace and sovereignty. Zelensky's leadership has been exemplary, and we must ensure that any transition is smooth and does not destabilize the region further.
Zelensky's willingness to step down for the greater good is a testament to his dedication to his country. We must support Ukraine in these challenging times and work together to find a path to lasting peace.
The international community is acutely aware of the potential consequences of miscalculation in this volatile situation. The stakes are high, and any misstep could have far-reaching implications for regional and global security. Section 5. The Trump card, America's unpredictable stance. The United States, as NATO's leading member, plays a pivotal role in shaping the alliance's response to Ukraine's aspirations.
NATO, it's outdated, folks. We are spending too much on defense, and our European allies, they need to pay their fair share.
However, the Trump administration's approach to foreign policy has been characterized by unpredictability and a transactional view of international relations.
Look, I've always said, we need to engage with Russia. President Putin, he's a strong leader, and we need to find common ground.
Trump's personal relationship with Zelensky has been the subject of much scrutiny.
Zelensky, he's a good guy, but we need to make sure our interests are aligned. It's all about America first.
In 2019, Trump was impeached by the House of Representatives for withholding military aid to Ukraine in an attempt to pressure Zelensky into launching an investigation into his political rival, Joe Biden. Given Trump's unpredictable nature and his transactional approach to foreign policy, it is difficult to predict how the United States will respond to Zelensky's offer. Section 6. European Echoes, a chorus of support and caution. European nations have been more vocal in their support for Ukraine's sovereignty and its right to choose its own alliances. Germany, France, and the United Kingdom have all condemned Russia's actions in Crimea and the Donbas region and have imposed sanctions on Moscow in response. However, European leaders are also acutely aware of the potential consequences of escalating tensions with Russia. They are keen to find a diplomatic solution to the crisis and avoid any actions that could lead to a wider conflict. The European Union has played a key role in mediating between Ukraine and Russia, but progress has been slow. The Minsk agreements, signed in 2014 and 2015, were intended to bring an end to the conflict in eastern Ukraine, but they have been repeatedly violated.
We must continue to support Ukraine's sovereignty, while also working towards a peaceful resolution. The stakes are too high for us not to pursue every diplomatic avenue available.
Section 7. The Russian Bear. Putin's calculated silence. Russia, for its part, has remained relatively silent on Zelensky's proposition. The Kremlin has not issued any official statements on the matter, and Russian state media has downplayed its significance. This calculated silence is in line with Russia's typical approach to such situations. Moscow often prefers to observe developments from the sidelines before revealing its hand. Putin is a master strategist, and he is likely carefully weighing his options before making any pronouncements. However, Russia's silence should not be mistaken for indifference. Moscow has made it abundantly clear that it considers Ukraine to be within its sphere of influence, and it will not tolerate any attempts by the West to encroach on what it perceives to be its backyard.
Our position on Ukraine is well known. We will continue to protect our interests and ensure that our strategic objectives are met.
Section 8. A pivotal moment, the stakes for Ukraine's future. Zelensky's offer to resign represents a pivotal moment in Ukraine's history. His proposition has injected a new element of uncertainty into an already volatile situation, and the consequences of his actions remain to be seen. The stakes are incredibly high for Ukraine. The country is caught in a geopolitical tug-of-war between Russia and the West, and its future hangs in the balance. Zelensky's gambit could pave the way for peace and stability, or it could backfire, leading to further instability and conflict. The international community is watching closely, hoping for a peaceful resolution to this crisis. However, the path forward remains unclear, and the coming days and weeks will be crucial in determining Ukraine's fate. Section 9. The Global Chessboard. Geopolitical Implications. The situation in Ukraine has far-reaching geopolitical implications. It is not simply a regional conflict. It is a microcosm of the broader struggle between Russia and the West for influence in the post-Cold War world. Russia's actions in Ukraine have challenged the post-Cold War security architecture in Europe and raised questions about the future of NATO. The alliance, formed in the aftermath of World War II to counter the Soviet threat, is now grappling with how to respond to a resurgent Russia. The United States, as NATO's leading member, faces a difficult choice. It must balance its commitment to defending its allies with its desire to avoid a direct confrontation with Russia. The outcome of this crisis will have profound implications for the future of Europe and the wider world. It will shape the relationship between Russia and the West for years to come and determine the fate of Ukraine, a nation caught in the crossfire.